The evening settled in quietly as I finished my exercise routine, feeling the familiar blend of fatigue and satisfaction that comes from moving my body. A slight headache had been lingering throughout the day, and now, as the warmth of the room wrapped around me, I sought a moment of gentle relief. Sometimes, after pushing myself physically, it helps to slow down and reconnect with myself in a more intimate way. Tonight felt like one of those times. I stepped into the shower, letting the hot water cascade over me, soothing tight muscles and washing away the tension of the day. The steam created a comforting haze, blurring the lines between thoughts and sensations. My skin prickled under the touch of the droplets, and a calmness began to spread through me. It was the perfect environment to turn inward, to focus on the quiet rhythm of my breath and the softness of my own touch. Earlier, I had rubbed myself to ease some of the soreness from exercise and to gently stimulate my senses. The sensation was simple but profound, a reminder of my body's resilience and capacity for pleasure even after fatigue. The headache still tugged at the edges of my mind, but with each breath and each gentle movement, it started to fade into the background. I realized that sometimes nurturing myself physically could help soothe not just my muscles, but the unrest hidden beneath. As I settled into the tub, the warm water enveloping me like a gentle embrace, I reached for my personal massager. It was a familiar companion on quiet nights such as this, a tool for exploring the tender spaces within myself. Tonight, the heat and moisture from the shower had already softened me enough to welcome it without any discomfort. Slowly, I guided it inside, the smooth surface sliding against my skin, a sensation both delicate and thrilling. The feeling of sitting in the tub, rocking my hips slightly as I moved in sync with the massager, was deeply satisfying. I was fully present in the moment, guided by the warmth of the water and the gentle pressure inside me. My fingers found their way to my clitoris, rubbing softly, enhancing the pleasure that built steadily within. The combination of sensations, the steady warmth of the water, the internal fullness, and the outer touch created a delicious harmony that enveloped me completely. After some time, I found myself standing up against the tiled wall of the shower. The massager adhered to the cool surface, and I began to move it rhythmically in and out, my hand steady as I maintained a slow but deliberate pace. My other hand continued its soft circular motions in time with the internal movement. The contrast between the cool wall and the hot water added an unexpected thrill to the experience. As my rhythm increased, so did the intensity of the sensations coursing through me. It felt like waves building in an ocean, rising and cresting with increasing urgency. My breath quickened, chest pressing against the wall for support as I surrendered to the mounting pleasure. At that moment, I felt both incredibly strong and wonderfully vulnerable. The orgasm hit me with surprising power, stealing my breath and making my legs weak. I pressed my face and breasts against the wall, eyes closed as the rushing waves of release washed over me. The pulse of my heart seemed loud in my ears, beating rapidly as I hung on to the sensations. Afterward, a soft dizziness fluttered at the edges of my awareness, a sign of the exertion and heat enveloping me. I could almost sense the blood rushing back and forth in my body as I slowly regained my strength. The hot steam wrapped around me like a veil, enclosing me in a private moment of bliss and calm. My breathing settled, and a peaceful smile touched my lips. Despite the headache that had started the evening, I found a new sense of ease and satisfaction within myself. It was a reminder of the importance of self-care and the incredible ways our bodies can offer comfort and joy when we take the time to listen. Sitting quietly after the rush, I let my mind wander gently, savoring the lingering sensations and the quiet connection I had rediscovered with myself. The ache I'd felt earlier had diminished, replaced by a feeling of balance and warmth. The shower continued to hum softly around me, the water still flowing, a soothing soundtrack to this small but meaningful ritual. As I finished, I stepped out feeling lighter, more whole, and unexpectedly refreshed. The evening's moment of indulgence was more than physical. It was an act of kindness toward myself, a chance to slow down and embrace the simple pleasure of being fully present in my own skin. Even the headache felt less significant now, softened by the memory of the tenderness and connection I had allowed myself tonight. That evening, after a long day that felt heavier than usual, I found myself drawn to the shower once again, eager to revisit the experience I had discovered weeks before. The warmth of the water calling softly, a kind of invitation to let go, offered a perfect escape from the mental clutter crowding my mind. I had finished exercising after dinner, my body still humming with residual energy, but also craving release, comfort, and freedom. Deciding to take my time, I began with some gentle self-touch to awaken my senses and build a gentle rhythm within me. The sensation of my hands exploring familiar places brought a subtle warmth that spread quickly, washing away the last layers of fatigue. My breath slowed, and the tension in my body softened as I allowed myself to sink deeper into the moment. I wasn't in a rush. Tonight felt different. I wanted to be unguarded, completely absorbed in the pleasure of the present without distraction. I was curious to see how it would feel to combine the water's steady murmur with the intimate exploration of my own body and the massager I had grown fond of. At first, inserting the device required patience. I wasn't as worked up as I had been before. That initial fullness, the wonderful sensation of something warm and gentle beginning to fill me, was one I cherished. It calmed me, even as excitement stirred in low waves beneath the surface. I found a comfortable semi-reclined position in the tub, the water supporting my back, my legs slightly bent and open. It was a space of ease and surrender. As I settled in, the sound of the shower masked any other noises, which gave me a freeing sense of privacy. I could be as loud or soft as needed, knowing that the water absorbed every sound. That assurance loosened something inside me, the hesitation that sometimes creeps in when you worry about being overheard. I took a slow, deep breath and let my hand follow the rhythm of the massager. Taking my time, I shifted into what I like to think of as a cowgirl position, sitting upright and moving in gentle circles, letting the waves of warmth and pressure bring a steady crescendo. The water's steady cascade mingled with the soft sounds of my movement. I found myself more relaxed now, and the initial awkwardness had faded into pure sensation. Moments passed with slow exploration, allowing my body to adjust and respond naturally. Eventually, I lay back, letting my head rest against the tub's edge. I moved the massager inside me in slow, deliberate strokes, feeling every inch of the device as it slid smoothly in and out. Below the surface, a quiet fire grew an ever-increasing desire that pooled and brightened. My fingers kept gentle pace on my clitoris, a soothing contrast to the deeper sensation inside. I was aware of my full bladder, an unexpected pressure that added a curious mix of sensations, but it didn't distract me. It heightened my connection to my own body in a strange, compelling way. Standing when I tried to shift positions didn't feel quite right. The angle was all wrong, and my movements felt stiff and constrained. So I lowered myself back down and lifted a leg, opening myself wider, exposing myself more fully to both the water and the sensation. In this position, slick with water and natural lubrication, I felt empowered. The shower's roar let me move freely, no sound held back or self-consciousness to manage. I pounded rhythmically, moving the massager with a steady, confident thrust while my other hand pressed firmly to my clitoris. The combination sent waves of electric pleasure pulsing through me with increasing intensity. It was like I was on the edge of something enormous, the anticipation building as my eyes fluttered shut. The sensation of warmth pooling and radiating through my core was so strong it almost felt like it might spill over at any moment. Then, with a rush I could barely contain, I came. The release was powerful, and I felt my whole body tremble, my breath coming in quick gasps. My eyes literally crossed in the intensity of the moment, overwhelmed by the surge of sensation. When I finally caught my breath, I pulled the massager away and noticed a long string of moisture clinging to it. It was a visible reminder of the intensity of the experience, the abundance of natural fluid produced in my excitement. I was certain I had released quite a lot, almost as if I had squirted, though I wasn't entirely sure. Still sitting there, enveloped by the hot water and the soft rhythm of the falling droplets, I felt delightfully satiated, a deep, soulful kind of contentment that only comes after giving in completely to what feels good. My mind had settled, my body relaxed, and the headache that had shadowed me earlier was muted by the ebb of pleasure and calm. The shower had been a sanctuary once again, a place where I could surrender to the raw, beautiful sensations of my body without judgment or restraint. It was a ritual I had come to treasure, a way of embracing myself fully, learning and celebrating my own pleasure in a safe, private space where the outside world seemed distant and unimportant. As the water began to cool and I prepared to step out, I carried with me the glow of that intimate session, a subtle but powerful reminder of the strength and joy that comes from self-acceptance and gentle exploration. I knew I would return to this sanctuary soon, eager to rediscover the freedom and delight that the warm shower and my own touch could provide. This period had been stretching on longer than usual, mostly marked by faint brown flow that left me restless and, admittedly, more eager than normal. The antsy feeling settled deep inside, a warmth mixed with impatience that urged me towards some kind of release. A few nights ago, I'd found some relief simply by grinding against a towel, a simple act, but it had brought a satisfying climax and a soothing sense of peace. But tonight called for more, something full, indulgent, and deeply restorative. I wanted to dive in completely, without hesitation, and truly scratch that persistent itch that had been tugging at me. So, for only the third time ever, I brought my massager to the shower. The familiar steady stream of warm water filled the tub, wrapping me in gentle heat and inviting me to let go. I lay down in the tub, allowing the water to embrace my skin, beads of moisture mixing with rising anticipation. It took a little effort at first to get the device inside me, since I wasn't especially aroused at the start. But with roaming, hot images drifting through my mind and whispered fantasies teasing at the edges of my awareness, I gradually became slick enough to welcome it smoothly. The feeling of the massager moving inside me was both comforting and thrilling, a contrast that ignited my senses. My right hand skillfully worked the device, while my left found its way to my clitoris, rubbing fiercely in sync with the internal movement. My left leg bent and lifted to open me wider, increasing the delicious stretch and accessibility that heightened every sensation. The water's heat mingled with my own warmth, creating a cocoon where stress and discomfort simply melted away. I decided to try standing up at one point, attempting a new position inspired by the massager's suction cup that stuck to the wall. I angled myself to ride it doggy style, hoping for a fresh wave of stimulation. But the angle didn't quite work, and I felt more disconnected than anything else. The sensations were muted, and I couldn't move freely enough to find a comfortable rhythm. Realizing this wasn't going to be the answer, I lowered back down to the tiled floor of the tub, ready to recommit to the intimacy of the moment. I pushed the massager with practiced urgency now, sinking into spicy scenes held in my mind and fueling my growing desire. With rhythmic, deliberate thrusts, I immersed myself in the steady assault of sensation. The combination of internal fullness and fierce clitoral rubbing ignited an intensity that built quicker than I expected. Suddenly, the release came crashing through like a wild tide. My eyes rolled back, overwhelmed as waves of pleasure washed over me. I could hear the rushing sound in my ears after the peak, almost like a temporary ringing that blurred the steady patter of water tapping against the shower walls. The distant sound of the falling water was muted, as if my whole world was ringing out in that moment aftershock, the blood retreating from my head as my body savored the aftermath. It was a dizzy, beautiful kind of sensation that teased me with blissful vulnerability. The shower had once again become my sanctuary, a place where I could shed any reservations and simply exist in these raw, powerful sensations. The water aided in washing away the tension and pain that lingered elsewhere, leaving me renewed and satisfied. It was incredible how this simple ritual of self-care helped me reconnect to myself and to the pleasure my body was so willing to offer when tended to tenderly. After a while, as my breathing slowed and my muscles relaxed, I lay there with my eyes closed, letting the quiet comfort of the moment fold itself around me. The persistent restlessness I'd felt earlier was gone, replaced by a calm warmth that spread from my core outward. I felt grateful for the space and time to fully embrace what my body needed. It was a reminder not just of physical release, but of the power in giving myself permission to seek and accept pleasure on my own terms. The night deepened outside the shower's glass door, but inside, time seemed suspended, holding me in its gentle, luminous glow. When I finally rose and left the tub, I felt lighter, freed from the tension that had built, carrying with me the quiet strength and soft satisfaction that only such moments can create. It was a beautiful act of self-love, and I knew I would return soon, eager to explore again, to nurture and to honor the intricate tapestry of sensation and feeling that made me who I am. That evening in the shower was different from my previous experiences, a sense of familiarity mixed with a new eagerness to explore and discover what felt best. Having already tried several positions, I knew the importance of being open to experimenting, trusting my body's responses without rush or expectation. I had learned that sometimes it took patience to find the right balance, the perfect angle and rhythm that would carry me to the peak I sought. Tonight, I embraced this process wholeheartedly, ready to surrender to the flow. The water poured steadily, warm and soothing, creating a cocoon of gentle heat around me. As I stepped in, I took a deep breath and allowed the sounds, the scents, and the sensations to weave together into a rich tapestry of comfort. I settled into the tub floor and began to move the massager gently, familiar with the way the smooth device interacted with my body's contours. I paused occasionally, adjusting the width of my legs and the position of my hips, noticing how each subtle change affected the pleasure that blossomed inside me. With legs spread wider than before, I found an openness that invited deeper sensation. The broader stance gave me access to new registers of feeling, and the massager slid smoothly, aligning perfectly with sensitive areas that had been teasing me from the first touch. I let myself be patient, knowing from experience that a strong, satisfying climax often comes with deliberate exploration. The heat of the water, mixing with my mounting excitement, worked to relax and stimulate me at the same time, moving my hips in slow circles, then gradually building momentum. I felt my body respond eagerly. The rhythm of the massager inside combined with my own touch on the exterior, coaxing waves of pleasure that grew steadily. Though the journey had begun gently, it wasn't long before a familiar urgency bubbled up, that electric sensation that signals something amazing is close. I welcomed it without hesitation, riding the swell instead of resisting it. Time seemed to fold in on itself as I rode the waves of sensation, eyes closing to focus entirely on the feelings within. 30 minutes passed in what felt like moments, each stroke bringing me closer to the crescendo. There was a delicious tension, a gathering storm of pleasure that ran through every fiber of my being. The water drummed softly on the shower walls, a quiet accompaniment to the rhythm I had created with my body and the massager. I reached the peak in less than 45 minutes, a blessing of swift release that left me breathless but deeply satisfied. The climax was brief but intense, a sharp spike of delight that sent shivers through me as my muscles clenched and then slowly unwound. Even though the moment passed quickly, the afterglow lingered, humming softly through my veins like a sweet echo of what had just been. There was something profoundly liberating about these sessions in the shower, causing the massager to pound rhythmically inside me while simultaneously stimulating my clitoris, embracing the sounds and sensations without shame or hesitation. The water's turbulence masked any noise, allowing me to express myself freely. I noticed how quickly I became wet, the natural lubrication rising within me almost immediately, as if the shower's warmth and cascade invited my body to open in ways it hadn't before. As the waves of pleasure ebbed and flowed, I felt my body settle into a comfortable, familiar hum of satisfaction. The combination of water, steam, and steady motion created a sensory experience like no other. The massager's smooth surface glided with ease, its precise pressure a perfect match for my internal needs. I was grateful for the way this simple routine transformed ordinary moments into something rich and intoxicating, a reminder of my own strength and sensuality. Still wrapped in the serenity of the moment, I reflected on how this gentle pounding against my core, paired with external stimulation, awakened something deep inside me. It wasn't just physical pleasure. there was a mental and emotional release too, a letting go of tension, worries, and anything that weighed me down. The shower became a sacred space of renewal, a place where I could reconnect with myself wholly and without distraction. By the time I finished and turned off the water, I felt a glowing warmth that extended beyond my skin, embedding itself in every part of me. The brief but powerful climax had delivered a burst of energy and relief, and even in its passing, the satisfaction remained, a sweet aftertaste that followed me as I stepped into the calm night. This growing ritual had become a treasured practice, a way to honor my body and soul with patience, curiosity, and affection. Over the course of these intimate sessions, I've come to realize that this ritual has transformed into much more than just a physical act. It has become a profound form of self-care, a space where I reconnect with my body, my desires, and my sense of well-being. Each time I step into the warm embrace of the shower, armed with my massager and my curiosity, I'm reminded of the power inherent in slowing down and fully inhabiting my own skin. The gentle cascade of water against my body, the intimate exploration of my senses, and the freedom to express myself authentically have all woven together to create a sanctuary that nurtures both body and mind. This process began with simple curiosity and a desire to soothe and pleasure myself after physical exertion and stress. At first, it was about relief, easing muscle tension, melting away aches, and finding a release from the noise of daily life. But slowly, it deepened into something richer, a ritual that encouraged patience and acceptance. The shower's warmth softened not just my skin, but also my inner defenses, inviting me to approach myself with kindness and gentle attention. I discovered that pleasure could be both a refuge and a celebration, moments of pure joy nestled within the ordinary flow of my days. One of the most profound lessons I have learned is the importance of listening to the subtle shifts within my body, to its needs and responses, and to the quiet whispers of desire that often go unnoticed. Each session has taught me to honor where I am emotionally and physically, allowing my pleasure to unfold at its own pace without judgment or pressure. This openness has led to more authentic, deeper experiences, turning what might have been rushed or distracted moments into lush, immersive journeys. When I use my massager in the shower, surrounded by the soothing sounds and sensation of water, I enter a state of surrender and presence. The combination of the water's steady rhythm and the device's focused stimulation creates a multi-sensory experience that quiets the mind and amplifies the body's responses. I've come to cherish how quickly I'm able to connect with my arousal, how rapidly my body responds when given the right environment and attention. It feels like rediscovering a well of pleasure that was always there but often overlooked amid life's demands. Giving myself permission to be fully in these moments has also softened my relationship with vulnerability. There is an unmatched intimacy in embracing my own desires without fear or self-consciousness. The water's noisy cascade masks any sounds, which removes any hesitation and allows me to express myself freely, no need to hide or suppress. This liberation not only heightens the intensity of the sensation, but also cultivates a deeper appreciation for my own worth and autonomy. I'm reminded that my pleasure is valid, important, and deserving of time and care. The ritual has extended beyond physical sensation into a mental and emotional cleansing. After a session, I often find myself calmer, lighter, and more centered. The act of nurturing myself in this way clears away tension, both in my body and in my mind, creating space for renewed energy and clarity. It's as if the release of physical tension carries with it a loosening of emotional knots, allowing me to approach the rest of my day or evening with a softer, more patient mindset. Moreover, these moments have taught me the value of presence and self-awareness. Sensuality is often depicted in society as something flashy or external, but what I've come to treasure is its quiet, personal nature, how it inhabits small acts performed deliberately and attentively. The difference between simply going through the motions and truly savoring each touch and sensation is profound, and I am grateful to have learned how to cultivate that distinction within myself. It's a reminder that pleasure doesn't have to be loud or elaborate to be meaningful and transformative. Aside from the personal discoveries, this practice has reminded me of the broader importance of self-care as a holistic concept. It underscores how tending to our bodies impacts our emotional and mental well-being, highlighting the interconnectedness of these aspects of ourselves. Through these intimate rituals, I reinforce the message that I am worthy of tenderness and joy, that honoring my needs is essential rather than indulgent. It's a daily act of kindness that anchors me and builds resilience against stress and fatigue. As these sessions continue, I look forward to deepening my understanding and connection with my body. I know there will be days when patience will feel harder to find and sensations won't arrive as easily, but even then, the simple act of showing up, of carving out time and space for myself, will be a powerful testament to self-respect and love. This ritual has become a steady companion in my life, a source of comfort and delight that evolves alongside me. In stepping out of the shower after these moments of self-care, I carry with me a quiet glow, subtle but unmistakable, that radiates beyond the physical. It infuses my mood, my confidence, and my overall sense of ease with being alive in my own body. The warmth lingers as a reminder that no matter what the day has held, I have a refuge within myself, a place where pleasure, peace, and connection await whenever I choose to return.